How's it going, everybody? I am Donut. This is, of course, Black Lives Matter. All cops are bastards. And trans rights supporting channel. If you're not supporting that shit, then you can get the fuck right off of this channel. I don't want you here. This is Spider-Verse. That's the whole name of the movie, I think. No, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. That's the name of the movie. Yeah, I am watching this because that's it. You know, I just figured it, I would. There's no answer. It's not connected to the MCU or anything, but it is taking the MCU slot temporarily. So, I don't know, I felt like I needed to say something about that. But, yeah, it's just kind of something to hold over until I'm getting back into, the other Netflix stuff. So, yep, I got nothing really to say. I know so little about Spider-Man. I know just barely, a little tiny bit about the comics. I read a little bit of the Ultimate Universe. Very, very little. Extremely little. And I have seen the Tobey Maguire trilogy. I don't know if I've seen all three. I know I've seen at least the first one. I don't know if I've seen the next two. I think I have, but it was like as a kid when I did. So I have no idea. I haven't seen him since. The Andrew Garfield trilogy, I don't know if I've even seen, honestly. Again, I have no idea. My memory is so fucking terrible that I don't know if I have. And that's about it. You guys have seen my MCU reactions, I assume. If you're watching this, maybe not, but I've seen Spider-Man in the MCU. But I know that's very, very different from every other Spider-Man. Goddamn, fuck that Spider-Man. And I've played a little bit of the Spider-Man video game. The new, not the Miles one, but the other one. It was just called Spider-Man, so I don't know what fucking year it came out at. The PS3 one, PS4 one. Yeah, I played a little bit of that. I played up till, Miles' introduction, and then I was like, I don't know anything about Miles at all, and I want to have, a fresh, reaction to Miles on something, probably this, I assumed, maybe the comics or something, but this is probably the first time I'm going to really see what Miles is about, so I'm excited about that. But yeah, as far as the Peter Parker Spider-Man, I know enough about, but I don't think I know enough to where I'm going to get a lot of the references or anything, and this discussion is probably going to be pretty light because I know there's so much analysis into this movie. There is so many hour-long analysis videos on YouTube of this. There's tons of it. I'm going to be probably watching a shitload of that afterwards, so my discussion's not going to be as in depth as a lot of my 7-hour fucking in-game discussions. I don't expect that, but yeah, this is a fun treat. That is what this is. I doubt I'm gonna get most of the references or really any of them, but it's a fun treat. I will say the only thing I actually know about this movie, which I might as well just say since it's a trivia thing that people will be interested in, but since I know going into it that Miles is done in a different frame rate than Peter, and I do know that it is it's a Spider-Verse thing. It's a bunch of different Spider-Mans or whatever. The only thing I know for sure is that obviously Peter and Miles are going to be in it, and Peter has a more mentor role, something like that. That's all I know. But yeah, I know that Peter is in a different frame rate than Miles, in a more smooth frame rate. I believe in a more smooth frame rate to make it, look more like he has in control of, Spider-Man and everything. And I only know that because of the Miles game coming out and finding out that. But yeah. That is the only thing I know going into it. That's it. Alright, we are here for the discussion of Spider-Verse. Of course, I wore my New York shirt for the in-game discussion or reaction, and now I finally found my, not in-game, but Thanos shirt to wear for the Spider-Verse discussion. Because I am just chaotic as hell.
It is wild. I can't believe this.
So, okay, overall thing on this movie, before, I forgot to watch the damn trailers before, we did this discussion or anything. I might do a thing where we stop the discussion, I watch the trailer and talk about that for a bit, because I do like talking about that sort of stuff, what were people shown going into this and everything. So, overall, I think, I really enjoyed the movie on a comedic sense.
Sure.
I think it's really, really funny. I'm gonna watch a lot of the beginning stuff again. Not the immediate beginning stuff where it's just exposition, but yeah. A lot of the beginning I think is really, really funny and really, really rewatchable for me. Whereas I think the more serious sort of stuff it was trying to do and the more stuff that yeah, was less cartoony and more like an actual like plot rather than like making fun of a
Sure.
comic plot. It didn't really work for me.
Okay.
But yeah, I really enjoyed it for the funness of it rather than the
Sure.
serious story that we're trying to tell.
I can buy that. Like, this was written by Lord Miller. Pretty big for 21 Jump Streets. For the Lego Movie is their really big thing.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'd
I
say
mean, I've seen 21 Jump Street as well, but
yeah, I'd say Spider-Verse definitely like has that same vibe. Like, they're both well known for being like very comedic, but also like fitting the medium very well. 21 Jump Street being the like, hey, let's do a remake of this old TV show that people like, and the Lego Movie being, let's do a toy commercial.
yeah. And to be fair, I think the weakest like Lego Movie, I would say the exact same thing. Very very funny. The like serious storyline they're trying to tell, I didn't really work. You know,
Sure.
For me, you know, I just couldn't really get into it.
Okay.
Yeah, I can for other, and it's not like animated movies I can't get into a serious story for.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know what it is about like those specifically.
Sure.
I think it is because of just like the mentality I went going into it that I wasn't expecting it, rather than other ones where it's like I go into it knowing that I'm going to be expecting a serious story, and yeah, I think that is different. Just like different expectations.
All right, it's fair.
So what you want to talk about? Like, how did you feel about the movie when you first saw it and everything like that? Give your brief, small thing.
It came out in 2019, so I was a little burnt out on MCU stuff in general and like hero stuff in general. So I didn't watch it when it was in theaters. I waited until the Blu-ray came out, and then I finally watched it. And everyone I knew was saying, "Go watch Spider-Verse. You're gonna love Spider-Verse." It was a combination of that and also knowing that they weren't going to adapt to the comics that made me go like, I don't know if I really want to see this. Like, and I do think it's a lot better for not being an adaptation.
Sure, yeah.
It's basically just like...
Yeah, I think that is... yeah, I didn't really think about that at all, but the fact... Yeah, that's something that didn't even cross my mind, but... Because I don't, read the comics, I don't know anything about that. But, yeah, it definitely had that energy to it, where it felt a lot less restrained.
Yeah. Like, it's named after the Spider-Verse series, which is a much bigger, like, every Spider-Man has to team up in order to fight a threat that's going to destroy all of reality. Like, it was a extremely big stakes, like, let's just have every character you can think about cameo in this thing.
Yeah.
Whereas this is much tighter. It is more like, we are going to choose, 5 characters, and we're going to frame this in such a way that, like, simultaneously, the balancing act I really love with it is that they don't think that you're going to know any of these spiders. Like, they do intros for all of them. But then they tie that into the, like, no one wants to see Spider-Man's origin story thing with a conscious, we're going to, like, that is going to be the main thrust of the movie.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to keep on doing the origin story, and then we're going to hit you with, the second act ending of, by the way, that was all Miles' origin story.
Yeah, I think it is a fantastic way they handle doing the origin story just over and over again.
Yeah.
They handled it amazing. Yeah, I mean, it was the funniest jokes in the thing, and it was it creates an immediate act structure that you can follow so clearly when they do, every time they say the line, okay, let's start from the beginning again.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's a very clear marker of... I don't know, I always love that in a movie, when there's a clear marker for acts. I'm a huge sucker for that, actually.
Yeah. Really like it. I also really like movies that... How do I put this?
I will also say it also allows you to get a handle on like what the character is, what their deal is, in a way that doesn't have to make their introduction really clunky.
Yeah.
Because it's not even like they're saying it to them particularly. It's kind of like they're just saying it to you, the audience.
Yeah. It's something that I, like, a big part of the ethos of this movie was we want to give people the feeling of reading a comic book, even if they're not a comic book fan. Which I think is a really important difference. Like, if you appeal to the fans too much, you wander into the territory of, well, we should be doing things that you can't do in a comic. Whereas the ethos was the opposite of, like, this isn't based on the comics, but we're going to try and do things that you can only do in a comic here. Like, with the sound effects and with, like, Miles disassociating and, like, seeing the speech bubbles.
The sound effects were fantastic. Like, the one that stands out to me the most is the bowling ball, like, hit sound effect.
Yeah.
That one was, extremely felt like a comic sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it is there. Yeah, there's that thing where you're reading a comic and you read a sound effect, and like the word is so like the sound effect word is so the onomatopoeia or whatever.
Yeah.
It's so weird that it can just it sounds like something completely different in your mind.
Mm-hmm. They were able to do a lot of just the visuals in the movie by like doing a 3D base layer and then hand animating over basically the whole thing.
Okay.
Which is why they can do all the different types of animation and like have them all intermingle with one another, and why they can like even in the base animation of the movie itself, because they are skipping every other frame, they can also like do speed ups and stuff.
Yeah.
As opposed to like movies that'll do like 60 frames per second moments, which end up feeling very jarring. This is more of a like the whole movie feels kind of jarring overall. Like it is very claymation-y. It's very like you're not supposed to think of this as real. And so they can slip in like bits of smoothness and bits of like contrasting layers of effects.
Yeah.
Because it's also something that you can't really do in CG. Like it works because they have to do every layer anyways, or every frame.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that I have not seen before. So
yeah,
I appreciate it just on that level alone. And there's so many different like ways of changing up that throughout the movie as well.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't just, keep one style throughout versus, like, the final fight at the end versus the beginning looks so different.
Yeah.
Not even in terms of, like, the visuals, but just in terms of, like, how the outlines of the characters look or stuff like that.
Like, Into the Spider-Verse is my favorite animated movie, and a big part of that is just because of how animation it is. Like, it never feels to me like they're doing we're going to try a bunch of different styles, or, like, we're going to do a throwback to this particular thing. It is just, by being itself, it wanders into so many styles. It does so many, like, interesting things with the visuals.
Yeah.
It is so insanely unique without feeling like a showcase of, like, technology, or a showcase of, like, well, we could just do this, so we showed you how to do it.
Yeah, that's a good point. It does not feel like that. And I feel like it is also, like, touching on like what I think made it really enjoyable to me as well was, like you said, coming off of that burnout of like the MCU sort of stuff, where it's like there's a lot of like stuff that I really enjoyed in this because it, even though it wasn't like a direct thing towards the MCU or anything, that it just felt relieving to get stuff like the goober is so like like as soon as it came up I was like, I can't escape the USB, and then they're like, okay, we're doing the MacGuffin thing, like thank God. And I really appreciated the way that like I'll just say Peter A for whatever, but the way that Peter A was like handling the situation, I was really enjoying, and I kind of wish that we stuck with that throughout.
Okay.
Like, not them all having that same personality, but I really liked the concept of like the Spider-Man who is perfect and everything, and we get that with Peter B, but not in terms of like the like how important the plot is. He doesn't feel like he is like he's like he says a lot. I do my best when it's like the last moment. Blah, 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 but I never feel that. Yeah,
I'd agree with that.
And so I think that is what I mean by like the serious stuff wasn't working for me. Of like, I think there should have been more of this vibe of, I feel like they can do it. Even if like if Miles can't do it, then they're just gonna do it no matter what. But even then, I kind of felt like I don't know, can they? Like I'm sure they can, but I haven't been shown that they're that confident.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, especially with like struggling to get away from Doc Ock and all that. Like it's a little bit like I don't know. I think that's why it didn't work for me as well.
I can understand that. Like we don't really get a good showcase of everyone until the final fight. It's like just due to the nature of how movies work. Like they only have so many scenes.
Yeah, I think I was like there was a lot of them. I was like, what do you do? What is your fighting style?
Like, I wasn't thinking of it until you said it, but like, we barely see Spider-Ham do a fight thing, or, like, really do anything that big. He mostly just kind of, like, talks to everyone.
Yeah.
But it isn't until the final fight where it's like, okay, so this is how, like, this is his gag.
Yeah, I think all the, like, different universe Spider people were very funny, but I didn't really care about them.
Sure.
Like, they were kind of just, like, set dressing to me. And again, I think this is a very funny movie, and I love all the comedy in it. It's just, that's the stuff I liked in it.
Fair.
Like, when, Penny is her name, right?
Yeah, Penny.
When the robot, like, got destroyed, at first I thought it was supposed to be a funny scene, and then we cut back to it, and it's still, like, sad.
Yeah.
Why is it supposed to? Am I crazy? Why was that a sad scene?
She's upset that the robot got destroyed. But her spider friend is still fine.
Yeah, but why is she upset? I get. I don't know. That was weird to me.
Okay.
Like,
I mean, that's really
that
just
should have been a comedic scene.
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Did that work for you?
It worked fine for me. I wasn't heartbroken, but like I could empathize with her. It was clear, like, oh yeah, she's not happy about this.
Yeah, but I think it was the fact that it like in the middle of this chaotic event, it was a overtaking of emotion, starting to cry. Everybody gathers around her. It was that like that's what got to it. Everybody gathered around her. I was like, oh, okay, this is not supposed to be a funny scene.
Right.
This is supposed to be like everybody is sad about this. Because yeah, it didn't seem like they were like, oh, cheer up. It was like, I am also very sad about this.
Okay.
But I don't know, maybe I'm crazy.
Yeah, I thought I took that more as a like, we're sad that you're sad.
Okay, maybe.
But yeah, like I don't think as an audience member I could be sad at the robot. It was more of a I'm sad because she's sad.
Sure. Yeah, I just don't think I also had enough time to get to know Penny or Gwen or Spider-Ham. Spider-Ham I immediately know because it's basically just John Mulaney. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just John Mulaney. Do we have like a name for what the 30s one was?
We didn't get a name for him.
Is there like a colloquial?
Spider-Man Noir.
Okay, right, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the only one where I feel like had like characterization outside of their. All right, let's start from the beginning. Here's my backstory. Like, that's a great way to tell me what the characters are, and then I don't have to worry about that because I know exactly what they are throughout the movie. But then they're not really anything more than that. Besides, like, Noir is the only one who gets a little bit more than that.
Yeah. Like, I will agree with that. Watching the movie, it doesn't really, like, it's hard to tell why I should like Penny apart from, like, she's a good Spider-Man.
Yeah. Like, yeah, I think... Yeah, I don't know if I have anything else to say about that.
Sure.
I've said my thing.
Yeah.
And again, with the like expectations going into it, like I thought this was going to be definitely a lot more than 5 spider people. Like I thought this was gonna be like going through dimensions sort of thing rather than them coming to one dimension. But yeah,
I can understand that.
So yeah, I think that was also a little bit of like knowing nothing going into the movie. Actually, like I was setting my expectations too high for like something that like there would be like a ton of these characters.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah.
I'd say like of all of them, the one I do like least is Penny, and I don't really know why they chose her. I think just because they wanted to do the like American anime style from the 2000s.
I think it's also just a good clash. Like they're all just such a crazy clash, but I think that's also like it's. We're supposed to be doing this like there is a Peter Parker in every, not a Peter Parker, like there's a Spider-Man in every dimension, but like we got like the most different ones, right? Which actually I'll get into the plot in a bit. Yeah, still want to talk about like everything else. Miles, I find like very funny bouncing off of other people by himself. I don't know, he feels very, very like generic protagonist, but like he feels like 2 different characters by himself versus like around other people and bouncing off of them and stuff. But yeah, I'm curious. I know they're gonna make a Spider-Verse 2.
Yeah,
I know it's gonna be all girl Spider-Verse, but they might have a post-credit scene or something like that. Like, and maybe then we'll get Spider-Verse 3 or something. I don't know. But like, I am interested in this going forward, even though I'm not that interested in the serious sort of stuff. I'm interested enough to see, where Miles is gonna go. I don't think I'd be interested to read the comics now, knowing like, like I assume this is his dad in the comics.
Basically, yeah.
Do you know anything about that in the comics?
Yeah.
Is there a I didn't catch it until the credits. That his dad's name was Jefferson Davis? Is there a reason for... I mean, Miles being the first Black Spider-Man feels like there's a pretty big... Was he like a villain originally? Something?
No.
Do you have any idea why they did that?
I'm pretty sure he's named after Jefferson Starship.
Okay. Why the last name Davis? Why not just Morales? Like, that's what threw me off. Like,
Yeah.
why? Like, that's what made it feel purposeful. Like, why not just make it Morales? Why Jefferson Davis? That's weird. I didn't even catch it into the credits, and I didn't want to say anything. So
Right.
like, let me make sure I.
Yeah.
Like, but.
I don't remember if that comes up in the comics. Probably. Like, he was a black activist. I feel like there's probably some sort of, like, you know, they did it for a purpose. But I can't
Yeah.
remember off the top of my head if they did. So I'm not going to say that.
Yeah, I don't know. Just that felt weird. But yeah, I think again, I'm probably not gonna read the comics just knowing
Sure.
his dad's a cop. And honestly, I was like ignoring him for the first half of the movie, but like when once he like comes up to the door and everything, that is when I just can't like his and his dad being there, you know, as a part of the like ending thing, just like. It took the air out of it from me.
Right.
Both scenes. It was like the Miles, like, you know, getting better and like getting his powers under control. I don't know why that conversation helped him with that. That was stupid to me. But you know, the both big moments of him learning to utilize the powers in a way, you know, manually, and then actually in the final fight, you know, getting back up and all this. Like, both were ruined for me with his dad being, you know, the involving factor in it. And it's like, I could put up with cops in media and stuff. I watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and I love Brooklyn Nine-Nine, even though it's just total cop propaganda. But like, yeah, it's just like, he's not funny in the movie. He's just kind of bad. He's just awful.
I can see where you're coming from. He was fine to me. I mean, it is the classic. I cannot let anyone know who I am, but you know, in the older comics, it was more of a like, I can't let anyone know because they might get brainwashed or something. Whereas I feel like the trend now is I can't let them know because they're racist and I'm a mutant, or like, you know, they hate supers and I'm a super, or you know, that kind of thing.
Sure. But yeah, I mean, like, I'm talking about way more. I just feel like he's just a boring, he's just a boring character. Like, yeah, I don't know what his point was. Like, he's got to be a police officer because he's in the comics as a police officer or anything like that. But like, why? Just change it. You know, this is 2019. Why are we still doing this?
Do you have any ideas of what they could have done to still have him be like, obviously, like, you know, Miles can't confide in him?
I mean. No, I mean, he doesn't confide in his mom about it either. What do you mean? There doesn't need to be a reason. He doesn't want his family to get, like, it's not that he doesn't confide in his dad because his dad hates Spider-Man.
Right.
Like, even before that, he was upset that his dad hated Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Like, that was not really, that was another layer on it, but it's still, like, he doesn't confide in his mom, so I don't feel like he needs an additional layer to not confide in his dad, you know?
Sure. See, I think it helps, because that is the, like, now I know why he won't go to either of them, because his dad's gonna flip either way, you know?
I mean, I don't get that, because I feel like if he said it to his mom wouldn't say anything to his dad. But I mean, like, that's the vibe I got.
Sure.
I don't feel like he needs a reason to not tell his dad. It's just, I don't want my family to get killed.
Fair.
Yeah, I mean, like, especially when he just saw what happened to Peter A., like, you know, being blasted on the news with all this shit and all his identity and everything. I feel like it's pretty normal to be like, yeah, I'm not going to tell my family.
Yeah, fair. I get it.
And then throughout the movie, seeing everything with, going on with,
Aunt May?
Aunt May. Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's just plenty of reasons presented throughout the movie itself.
Sure.
So, yeah, moving on from there, I guess we could talk about the plot now, if you want to.
Sure. I guess I just want to say, like, if we're still talking about Miles for a bit, I think it is pretty cool that, like, this is the first big Miles thing in media.
Yeah, yeah.
And that, like, with that, they decided to do, like, the question has always been, how do you do a Miles movie? Like, do you just say there was no Spider-Man? Do you do a bit of a Spider-Man that we barely get to see? Because in the comics, he's very much defined by not being the Spider-Man. Like, having it be the other Spider-Man died, now I'm Spider-Man. I'm, like, taking this name. You know, like, it's a suit that's way too big for me. and I was surprised that this movie did this well, like at having the main character be like in the shadow of everyone else for most of the movie, and yet I like him.
Yeah.
Like, I think it worked really well because it isn't just one Spider-Man, because it is like all these spiders, because it is a like, yeah, he doesn't like, he's not good right now, he's not Spider-Man yet, and yet like the purpose of the movie is for him to build towards being that.
Yeah. I think that's also why it's curious they're doing an all-girl Spider-Verse next, because, you know, yeah, getting like the Miles that everybody loves is probably the Miles at the end of the movie, where he is like so confident as Spider-Man, just saying like, I am the new Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Like, you know, this is not a like, you know, like you were saying, like he's defined as being like he is not Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But like the end of the movie is like he is Spider-Man now. And like, yeah, it's curious we're gonna have to wait even longer to get that in a movie. Like get it, you know, to actually get it for more than 5 minutes. You know what I mean?
It's interesting. I hope they're able to nail that character.
Yeah.
Because, like, this is also, I mean, this is a Sony movie. Sony also did, like, Venom.
Sure.
And the thing I've said about Venom always is, we only get the Venom we like in the third act, near the very end, and most of the movie is just build-up. It's not very good. Whereas this one is good, but I think the danger with good build-up is that you can, like, write a character who is very good as they're being put together, but, you know, that means you may have left out some things that'll be good going forward.
That's why I always enjoy TV show more. Honestly, I think I would love a Miles Morales TV show sort of thing. If that was the cop. As the one hinge.
Spidey just might not be for you. Like, I'd say the core of a lot, like most Spidey stories are like, are the cops going to shoot at him, or do they have the friendly neighborhood dynamic?
Yeah, but I feel like it's easier to ignore in a lot of stuff. Like, I had to put up with it. It's in every media ever. If I'm going to be watching superheroes, they're going to be working with the fucking cops.
Yeah.
That's just how it fucking goes. You know, I cannot escape it, so I have to fucking deal with that.
I mean, yeah, we had a big cultural push of people like these vigilantes, but we cannot, like, the establishment is not going to be okay if we say, hey, turn to these people as opposed to the cops.
But yeah, so the fact that it is his dad and it is so, like, again, if it was just his dad, I was willing to ignore it from that, but the fact that it's so integral to every, like, major point of the movie is just what kills it for me. And what would kill it for me if it was a TV show, because they'd be doing the same fucking thing.
Right. It's see, I think on a TV show they'd have, you know, it'd be more loose, whereas, like, with this movie, like, this movie is so tight, everything feeds into everything.
I feel like there'd be a lot of, I have to go home, and instead of doing the talk with Aunt May or whatever, it's the talk with Dad. I can see it already.
I mean, but he doesn't live at home.
I mean, he goes home so much anyway. It doesn't matter.
Fair.
So that's not stopped him in this movie.
I mean, that's because this movie was about his dad.
It's not about his dad.
A big chunk of it was.
It was not about his dad. His dad just happened to be there.
I mean, his dad's also the one mostly affected by the Uncle Aaron death.
Yeah. Again, I don't know why. I mean, like, I know why, but it feels like there's something that we don't know there.
I just took it as just you wanted money. You know, it's a job.
Oh, no. I meant, like, the thing between his dad and Uncle Aaron.
Right.
It seems like there's something there that we haven't gotten to yet.
Sure.
Like, there was, like, what did he say exactly? He was saying, like, you know I wouldn't be contacting you if it wasn't an emergency.
Right.
And it's like, what, like, you know, even if they were on bad terms, that's a very, like, hard stance sort of thing. Especially when he knows that Miles still hangs out with him and stuff like that.
Right.
Like, it's not a, like, I don't want you to hang out with your uncle ever.
Yeah.
It is a, like, just, I and your uncle do not talk unless it's an emergency.
Right. It's...
And, yeah, that's just, it feels like there's something more.
There might be, yeah.
And yeah, like, yeah, maybe the Prowler thing was just for money, but again, like, we didn't establish that he was bad on money or was, like, hurting for anything.
Yeah, and I guess he didn't really seem rich or anything.
Yeah, he just kind of seemed normal, you know?
Yeah.
Like, maybe lower middle class, but, you know, like...
Right, it's...
Yeah, I think there's nothing to imply why he would, and I think that was my issue with the Prowler. I'm just like, I don't know what like, it's one of the things where I either wish they played it up more comedically, or not like his death more comedically.
Yeah.
But the maybe not comedically is the wrong word, but more dramatically.
Sure.
Like as a like, this is a classic thing. You're fighting a villain and it's your fucking uncle. Like if they played it up more dramatically,
Okay.
still seriously, but more dramatically, I think
All right.
I would have got it. But yeah.
Yeah.
The way it played out, kind of like very seriously and somberly, made me feel like there was a reason we were going to get to.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, that's that's my stance.
sure. Yeah, I do like the scene worked well enough for me. I like.
I think it'll work better for me in retrospect.
Sure.
Like it's just like I know what they're doing now. Like I get it. You know, they were trying to do the sort of like, again, I assume this is a plot point in the comics and like how part of his actual origin story and everything. But it also is just for a comic book movie. It's very exemplary of that. Like, you know, when you're fighting a villain and stuff, your fucking relative.
Right.
But yeah, I think in retrospect it would work a lot better for me. Whereas watching it for the first time, it hampered it because I expected there to be an answer.
Sure. But yeah, like I think of Aaron Davis as being very much the 21st century Uncle Ben, because like they both serve the same role, but Uncle Ben is like this saintly figure,
Yeah.
and you know Peter can't live up to him, especially now that he's dead. Whereas Aaron Davis is the opposite. He is the like, this is what you could become, Miles. Like if you want to, you know. Like Miles never does the I'm gonna go wrestle and you know use my powers to make lots of money. And Aaron is the opposite. He is the like, I don't have powers, but I'm going to make this, like, I'm going to like get out of this shitty situation. I'm going to have money. I'm going to be big.
Yeah.
And it is the like, he ends up killing his own Uncle Ben.
Yeah, I really appreciate it for that aspect, and I think
Yeah.
even when he was first being introduced and they were going down the tunnel and everything, I could see that he was going to be a like, you know, like yeah, and not, I don't want to say a dark Uncle Ben, but not a. Again, not so much of a angelic figure.
Yeah.
Like a, you know, I thought he was going to be an example of like, you can be a good person and still be kind of like shifty with the law and everything.
Right.
But I think it's going a little bit too far when he's like super villain territory.
Right.
Like, you know, murdering, like, it's very obvious that this is a child even in the suit.
Yeah.
So like it's a little bit that was so much that it felt like there had to be a reason, but
Sure.
yeah, but yeah, I get it. I liked what they were going for. Yeah. Really quick while we're still on Miles and everything like that, the like invisibility powers, the electric powers, is that? How does that happen in the comics? Maybe I want to read it for the first time. I don't know, but like this felt like unique in how he got his powers because it was like a time spider or like a different. It was a dimensional like spider sort of thing.
Right.
So yeah, I'm just, you know, is it similar in the comics or very different?
It's not like a dimensional spider, but apart from that, it's like similar in that it's just part of his core power sets.
Okay. But yes, it's not like dimensional spider also in the
No.
comics or anything. Okay.
Yeah, the spider had Alchemax written on it. The center that they were like doing the time travel stuff or the dimensional breaky stuff at was Alchemax.
Yeah.
And Alchemax is a very Spider-Man 2099 thing.
Okay. Gotcha.
Like that is also part of why the end tag worked for people who knew who that was.
Gotcha.
Because it was a like, we keep on bringing this up and this is related to one specific character, but he's not in the movie. Like what is going on? That is the like, it still doesn't answer it, but it is the like, where was he?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. When he shot, I had no idea who the fuck that was. You had to tell me after. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
that was 2099. I have no idea who that is, but I've heard that before. So yeah, I think though that the power set is really cool. Like you know, I knew nothing about that at all. But yeah, electricity, like stun powers and
Yeah.
invisibility is. Again, Spider-Man is becoming so OP now. He feels like Superman. But I much prefer something like that rather than the fucking Iron Spider suit.
Right. And it is this very distinct, like, Miles can learn some things from the previous Spider-Man, like, you know, the now dead Spider-Man / in 616's mentor.
Yeah.
But there's some things he cannot learn about at all. Like, he can even talk to other heroes who have, like stingy powers or, like, invisibility powers, but his are different from other people. Like, he can't just go to the Invisible Woman and ask, like, hey, how do your invisible powers work? I need to use mine.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It sets him apart from like even all the other universe like, or different dimension Spider-Mans.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it really sets them apart.
I also really appreciate that, like, Miles's dimension is another world. Like, it's another dimension. They don't do the thing of, in a dimension story, the main one is the real world analog, and everywhere else is wacky.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Like every... I didn't even notice it at all, but you're talking about, like, the branding stuff?
Yeah,
like I noticed the branding, but I didn't think of it as, like, a... I didn't notice that it wasn't branded in other universes.
Yeah.
Or that it wasn't a parody brand in other universes.
Yeah. Like, it... I also really appreciate that, again, like, when the MCU was coming out around this time, they were trying to do the Spider-Man who isn't, like, normal Spider-Man. Like, we're not going to have him swing through New York until the very end of Far From Home.
Okay, yeah.
Whereas this is a, we're going to swing around a whole bunch. Like, you're going to see Spider-Man swing around in the city. But there is more, like, scaling the walls. There's less, like, fighting random bad guys.
Yeah.
Like,
I like how distilled it is. Like, this, again, especially with the Peter A stuff, it felt so Spider-Man doing this after years.
Yeah.
Like, where it is, like, immediately going into this high-tech place and just fighting the most powerful people there.
Yeah.
Like...
And we get to have this isn't a sequel, but it feels like a sequel thing with, like, all the villains. We don't explain any of the villains.
Yeah.
It is just, Scorpion is, like, Scorpion is Hispanic. He's going to just speak in Spanish, and it's going to be subtitled in universe.
Oh, I have such a slow read speed. All I read was translated from Spanish, and then I went to go read it. I was gone. I was like, ah, shit!
Yeah, they use the Ultimate Universe Green Goblin, who is like a giant, muscly goblin man.
Yeah, that was so cool. I loved that. Yeah, all of them were great. I don't know who the fuck other one was. Frankenstein. I don't know who the hell that was.
Oh no, I forgot his name already.
I'm sorry, Frank Gunstein.
Oh, Tombstone. His name is Tombstone.
Okay.
But yeah, like, the movie does a lot of, like, we're just, like, this isn't 616. We're not going to try and ape it like it is, like, all your favorite villains. We're going to try something different for all of them.
Yeah.
Or, like, we're going to borrow inspiration from different versions of them.
Yeah, because, I had no idea who Prowler was. Never heard of that in my life ever. So it's just like, okay, I like that kind of shit so much more when it is a wacky, crazy villain like that. Like, with big old powers. I've never heard of them before. That's not rare, but I love it every time it happens. I was saying that like it rarely happens to me. It happens a hell of a lot, and I always love it.
And they do things that only this movie can do. Like, we have, first time you see Prowler, he's got, like, the big jacket and stuff. Then when you see Peter B. Parker for the first time, he's in shadow, he's got a coat on, and he looks like the Prowler.
Oh, that was excellent.
Like, it is a perfect, like, you're not supposed to, remember this based on some other thing. This works entirely within this movie with this design.
Yeah. I mean, and that he's chasing him right now, so...
Yeah. And because you don't know that he's his uncle for a long time, the question is just, like, is he just an assassin? How does he know where he is? Like, we don't have time to think about it. How is this happening?
Yeah.
How did he get into his uncle's house?
Yeah, like, there was no, you just assume that he followed Peter in there, to his uncle's house and everything. That was a fantastic twist.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, I was going to, like, say something as we were going into it, like, as Peter was in the uncle's house. I was like, oh man, wouldn't it be some shit if his uncle's Prowler? Because I was thinking of I'm going to be gone for a couple weeks, and I'm like, oh. But then I was thinking, like, in that moment I thought, oh, they're probably going to do a thing where he gets wrapped up, like he is involved in this somehow, but he is just like a low-level goon of the thing. But, yeah, then immediately, bam, I am Uncle Davis. Or, not Uncle Davis, Aaron Davis. Yeah. I mean, yes, Uncle Davis, but...
Yeah. Sorry, I was envisioning him, Kingpin calling you off and going, yes, I am Uncle Davis.
I did, by the way, I really loved him, like, just in this movie. He was just an amazing character, amazing acting, voice acting, and just body work as well. Like, everything about it, I absolutely loved. It was incredible. I think that's also why I'm a little bit sad that he was just Prowler, and, because it works so well because of that, though. Like, it is the Uncle Ben thing, where they make you really love them, and then they take away from you.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he works so well as an Uncle Ben for that.
Mm-hmm.
The little bit we got of him, no matter, like, we get 3 Spider-Verses, whatever, I'm gonna be thinking about him
Yeah.
the time. Like, you know, he's that good of a character. I'm gonna be constantly thinking about, oh, what if he was still here and you could talk to him about this? Excellent character.
Because, like, now Miles has a different outlets. Like, for a while, like, his uncle was his outlet into doing the kind of things he wanted to do.
Yeah.
And now he has a different one, but, like, he can't tell his parents, hey, I'm gonna go Spider-Man. Or he can't, like, you know, tell the school, hey, I'm gonna skip out for a bit to go Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Like, he's still going to be more pent up now. There is now a part of him missing in his life. I really hope the movie, the next one, does focus on that a little bit.
Yeah. Or the next one.
Yeah.
Whichever one has Miles in it again.
Yeah. So, how'd you feel about Peter B. Parker?
I loved him. He's a favorite part of the whole movie.
Yeah, he's so dope.
Yeah, I love him.
Like, he is... So he is specifically what Marvel editorial have said for, like, 20 years no one wants. Which is, like...
Adult Peter with adult problems?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, going up into the 90s, I'd say, like, Peter was getting... Like, Peter had been married to Mary Jane for, like, 20 years. And they were, like, slowly giving him more adult problems, but also, like, trying to keep some of that youthful, you know, excitement.
Yeah.
And then in the mid-2000s, they basically said, well, the editor-in-chief of Marvel said, no one likes this. We are going to have Peter sell his marriage to the devil in order to make him more like a high schooler. He's not going to be a high schooler, but we're going to get rid of his responsibilities. Because no one wants to see him be like an adult. So he's going to still be this old, but he's going to work for a tech startup. And we're not going to do the will he, won't he with Mary Jane, because she won't, like, we're going to rewrite reality so that they broke up 20 years ago. And now the devil has their unborn child. It was a real weird one.
Yeah, it sounds real weird.
No one likes it. It involves Doctor Strange, famous brain surgeon and also sorcerer, saying that he can't save Aunt May, who needs brain surgery. There's nothing that the Sorcerer Supreme or the world's greatest surgeon can do.
Oh my god.
But there's been pushback, like anything in comics. Like, the people who make decisions will eventually be overridden by the people who come in next and are like, no, I hated that. I can write this. I'm just gonna write it different.
Yeah.
And I feel like Peter B. is the distillation of what they can't do in 616. Because they have to, like, keep everything canon. They can't just say, no, all that didn't happen. They've still been married all this time. You just didn't see it. It was in the background.
Yeah, the only thing I didn't really like with Peter B. this movie was just the little epilogue thing. Just like,
Okay.
you know, I don't think getting back with Mary Jane was the right, you know, right, like, even if it doesn't work out and everything like that, just as an epilogue, it was, I don't know if that's a good message.
Sure. I'd say it was a little muddy, like, along with him, like, really, like, not falling for, but being super distracted by Miles' universe's Mary Jane.
Yeah.
It felt weird.
It did. It was a little bit like, yeah, that one wasn't as, like, again, that one was more comedic, so I was willing to let it go, but, like,
Sure.
yeah, I think the epilogue thing was just like, you know, I think him, like, you know, looking, like, going up to her door and then leaving it at that might be something, but, like, I think, you know, having her come to the door and all that was a little bit too, like, feeling like it was saying they were gonna get back together, rather than, like, leaving it on, like, is he gonna make the decision or is he not?
Right.
Honestly, I think that would have been better, or just to not show it.
Yeah. Like, I enjoy it thematically that he was scared of having children. He, you know, basically had a surrogate son in Miles for a bit, and that is what made him go, you know what, I can have kids.
Yeah. I think the reason why I say, like, the looking at the door and fan is because it leaves it up to your imagination a little bit more.
Sure.
Whereas I think just going up to the door, knocking on her door and just like, hey, Mary Jane, it's me, I'm sorry, let's have a conversation. It's a little bit kind of lame. After all this time, it feels like you got to do more than this, buddy.
Yeah.
Like, you know, this is way too little.
Right.
Whereas, like, going up, like, standing at the door, thinking about it, would leave it in our minds more as to, like, you know, what is he going to do?
Yeah. By the way, I'll say this both to you and also to the audience.
Mm-hmm.
If you like the idea of Dad Peter Parker, there is an entire alternate dimension run called Spider-Girl, which has gone on for a long time. It has outlived the rest of that universe. And it is essentially just, like, we jump to the future, Peter still has his powers, he has a daughter who also has those powers, and he is more of a mentor, / he's more schlubby.
Oh, okay, I gotta read that. Gotta read it. I wasn't that interested until you said schlubby.
But yeah, like, this definitely amps up, like, I think this is probably the most, not the most schlubby Peter, Like, that's 616 Peter, but the most schlubby dad Peter.
Yeah.
It is the, like, I feel that Peter A. Parker has, been Spider-Man and still is passionately Spider-Man now, whereas Peter B. definitely feels like, okay, this is Spider-Man after he, went over the hump.
And he still has that really young energy. Like,
Yeah.
he feels like a 20s dad.
Like, I'm really glad that we didn't do the classic, like, because this is a future version of this character, they've gone through all this character development you haven't seen, and therefore they're a completely different character.
Yeah.
Like, I can see Peter within him, and then I can also see, like, the parts of him that have broken a bit. Like him walking away from Miles, just saying, like, I don't care, please leave, but then he is still on the roof when Miles is trying to make him feel sad.
Yeah, and having Peter A and Peter B, like, back-to-back was a
Yeah.
strong, like, being able to see the extreme similarities and the extreme differences.
Yeah, it is good end Peter and bad end Peter in 20 years.
Yeah. And it's not even, like, bad end Peter, because
Right.
he still does fight crime and everything. It's
Yeah.
not like he retired or gave up or anything. Like, he himself is depressed, but in terms of Spider-Man, I don't think it's bad end Spider-Man.
Sure.
It's bad end Peter, maybe not a bad end Spider-Man.
Sure.
But, yeah.
Yeah.
I love everything about the, like, just the way that we see Peter A and then Peter B.
Mhm.
Like, it's, they could have easily introduced more Spider people, in between there, or like, that's kind of what I was expecting. Like, this movie's gonna be flooded with so many, and we're gonna be introducing them nonstop.
Yeah.
But focusing on two just, like, very near Peters, like, very just Peter Parker straight up. This is just Peter Parker. Did we get?
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't get a name for Noir, but I assume he's probably also Peter Parker. But either way, they are like the so close ones. And then we introduce the other ones who we get one who is a little bit like, the Peter we know, but always in costume, so we'll never really know what they look like or anything like that. And the other two are as far away from Peter as we can get.
Yeah.
And so for the 5 they chose, it is extremely understandable why they chose all 5 and the order in which they were introduced
Yeah.
in. Like, bringing in the 3 together was, I think, a great choice rather than, like, introducing them slowly.
Yeah.
And Gwen is, I didn't really mention Gwen, but, like, Gwen is so different because it's not like it doesn't feel like a dimension. She just feels like she's from this dimension. I know that's not the case, but that's what it feels like.
I do want to clear up for anyone who is screaming at the camera right now.
Sure.
Like, Gwen was literally blown into last week.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't
I missed
quite-
that line.
Yeah.
I thought it was another occurrence or anything. I still feel like it's weird.
Mhm.
I'll get to it when we get to the plot.
Sure.
I got some problems with that, but
Fair.
yeah.
I'm really surprised that they didn't lean more into punk Gwen, though. Like, I'd say the main thing people knew of Spider-Gwen, like, the reason why she was introduced in Spider-Verse and then she got, like, an ongoing. She wasn't a previously existing character.
Really?
Yeah. Like,
The first time she ever appeared.
or, I should say Spider-Verse comics, not this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Like, so, the characters that existed before any Spider-Verse-y stuff were, like, Miles Morales, Peter Parker, and Spider-Man Noir.
Okay. Yeah, by the way, Spider-Man Noir is the only other one that I was familiar with.
Yeah. Also, Spider-Ham.
Okay.
Like, Spider-Man, I don't think he had, like, his own... I don't remember how Spider-Ham first came into being, but yeah, like, he was also existence.
Okay.
Yeah, Noir was part of the Noir, like, family of comics, which were all, like, most of them are in the same universe, some of them aren't, but it is all, like, this hero, but they are Noir.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't have anything to say about it, but it's a cool aesthetic. I like it.
Yeah. Penny, I'd say, is the most different.
I would say, like, everything he did in this movie was just, like, punching people and stuff like that. He is the one that, like shoots guns, right?
Yeah.
Spider-Man that shoots guns? Okay. Just curious.
Yeah.
But anyway, continue.
Penny is the most different in all mediums, because, like,
Okay.
she was created for Spider-Verse, and she's sort of like an Evangelion send-up. Like, she fights...
Sure.
She's in a giant robot. In order to pilot the giant robot, the spider has to bite you.
Yeah, I think the spider, like, being sentient inside the robot and everything, that's so cool. I really liked it. Like, yeah, I'm just kidding. I just remember the scene again of her crying over the robot. I don't understand it. But...
I think it's a really interesting decision to make it so tiny in the movie, because it also, like, it means that when all of them are together, they have really different profiles. Because she herself is small, her robot is now also small, and whether she's, like, standing on it or if she's in it, like, there's still a, like, small energy to them.
Yeah, it's a great design. All of them have a great, like, lineup together, especially when they're on, like, the ceiling and everything.
Oh, the
It's
ceiling shot.
fantastic.
I think the ceiling shot might have been like the first trailer, and it was what really sold me on, at the very least, like the animation. That was the like, oh my god, I can't believe all these different styles are right next to each other, and it doesn't feel gross.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a good point.
Like, they feel very distinct, but it doesn't feel gross. It's not like it's not like those old animation bumpers where they would just like take footage from shows and remove the cells and like smack them together.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not Osumatsu-san Season 2, Episode 1.
Oh boy.
That's some gross ass smashing shit together.
But yeah, for how much they wanted to like push Gwen, I do know it was mostly one person. Like, they wanted to really sideline her as a character, and then like one animator, I believe, or no, one of the executive producers said like, no, I want her, like, she's not going to be the love interest, but at the very least, I want her to like have more scenes than the other 3 spiders that show up later.
I will say, out of all the spider people in this movie, I don't really know what her thing is.
She's supposed to be punk, or not. That's wrong. There is a spider punk. It's more.
Oh
like,
yeah, I know that one too.
Yeah, but like, she's more like between punk and like alt, I guess.
Sure, like punk scene.
Like, she's supposed to have very neon colors.
Okay.
But, yeah, like she is.
Just neon punk.
Yeah, she headlines a punk band. They all hate her.
Yeah, like, oh yeah, that was her thing, that she was in a band. That's like,
yeah,
they say, I think all the other ones, like, they say their backstory, and then it's very exemplary through their character, whereas Gwen's, I don't feel like there was a lot of personality given to her.
Yeah, it's really weird. Because, I'd say the other two things people know her for are, and we do see this in her flashback, but it's very brief. Her parents also being cops.
Oh god.
So she, it is the like she is teenagers, she is society. Her parents are also oppression.
I would enjoy that a lot more than Miles' stories. Seems like.
And then, like, her Peter turned into the lizard. The lizard is like a scientist who has he's missing an arm and he wants to regrow it. And by splicing his DNA with lizard DNA, he became a lizard man.
Did they say that?
We see Gwen like punching a lizard person, and they turn into a man and die. When she says, "My Peter died."
Okay. Yeah. Because I know she said the Peter died. I was like, did they say that he was a lizard man?
Yeah. You see the outline of a lizard man.
Okay. Gotcha.
But yeah, I've always liked her thing for her Uncle Ben is Peter.
Yeah, like, that is cool, but again, we don't really
get it.
Because it's all in the past, and it's not her movie, we don't really,
Yeah.
Honestly, I think maybe you should have just saved Spider-Gwen for the female-only one. Like, I don't know. Having her not have much time in this movie kind of... She was so nothing in this movie.
Yeah, I think they definitely could have, like, integrated her better.
And when I saw her, I was like, oh shit, I know this design! Like, I'm so hyped for this, and it didn't really go anywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, she was the most competent one out of them all. Like, she was the only one that I didn't have any question of, like, if she can do it probably better than Peter B can do it.
Yeah.
But she didn't have that Spider-Man feel, I feel like. The quippiness that everybody else had, even Noir. Like... Yeah.
I do love Noir in this movie. Because it is a comedic movie, they got to really play it up. Like, that also getting Nicolas Cage to voice him.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was Nicolas Cage until the end. And even then, I saw him in the credits, and I was like, I have no idea who Nicolas Cage voiced in this movie. I really had no idea.
Yeah, he's got the overly serious edge. He's got the Rubik's Cube thing, which I find inordinately funny.
I find it hilarious because it's not like a colorblind thing. It is specific. Like, it is Spider-Ham. Like, I don't know what the right word is for it. Just like trolling him with it. Like, no matter what color he says, it's gonna be wrong, and he's not gonna tell him it's multiple colors. And nobody tells him. They let him take it back to his own dimension without telling him.
The end credits is not canon per se, but it seems like he's definitely going to introduce the concept of color to his whole dimension, and that's going to be wild.
Oh god. I don't know how that's going to happen.
But yeah, like, he nailed it for me. I'm really glad they didn't go for a more, like, Batman-y, like, scary vibe. It was more of just he's way too serious.
He's way too serious, and he's also like going super heavy on the 30s, 40s aesthetic,
Yeah.
rather than like the gritty, like I got a gun. It's so much more like the come on, let's have a brawl.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, it's way more of that, which
Mm-hmm.
it's way goofier.
Yeah. Like, the whole thing is very tone balancy, and I think Penny had the worst in it. Because, you know, she got the dramatic scene that didn't quite, you know, hit that well for you.
Yeah.
It was fine for me, but it also wasn't, like, elevating her character or anything. Whereas, like,
Yeah.
like I really liked Spider-Ham's, you know, big scene where he's using cartoon powers.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah. Like, it's fine.
Yeah, Spider-Ham was the one where I was like, you know, like, I thought I was going to complain about Spider-Ham the most, because I was like, he did, like, nothing in this movie. But then by the end, I was like, okay, at least we finally got it in this fight here. I kind of wish we got a little bit more. He probably did something in the house fight, but I just couldn't really tell what the hell he was doing. Like, that fight was so chaotic, I couldn't tell what was happening. But, yeah, by the end, I was like, okay, you know, he's done enough and said enough in this final fight. Like, they really put it all in that final fight, but at least it was there. Whereas Penny didn't get much.
Yeah.
Like, she was only serious scenes. Like, other than her introduction, it's pretty much only serious scenes.
Yeah. The only thing I can think of that was, like, comedic was, you know, when she's just, like, making the goober. But even that's not really comedic. It is more of just a fun break for a sec.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. How did you feel about, like, the only other big villains we have are, well, Kingpin. Let's talk about Kingpin first.
Okay, sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
I absolutely loved Kingpin in this. I think it's one of my favorite versions I've ever seen of Kingpin.
Mm-hmm.
Like, other than maybe, like, the Kingpin I've seen in the Spider-Man video game. The one that came out in whatever the fuck for PS4.
Yeah.
Like, that one I really love because it has this same silhouette, with, like, the head sat so low on the body, totally square.
Yeah.
Yeah, just, like, huge, like, to where, like, no human could ever possibly look like this. This is too big for any human ever.
Yeah.
Like, you could fit 20 people inside of you. Yeah, it has that excellent design. But I feel like I enjoyed this Spider-Man video game one, I think, a little bit more, simply just because it was, like, I don't know, I think I just like the CG more of that rather than this animation. Again,
sure.
I said at the beginning, but this animation did bother me, like, throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
Not even the Miles being at a different frame rate thing, 'cause, like, that changes halfway or whatever.
Yeah.
But, like, just the whole movie, everything in the movie. Yeah, I just, it's something that I cannot ignore. You know, yeah. It doesn't bother me enough to where it bothers me enough to where I'm constantly thinking about it the entire movie, but it doesn't bother me to the point where it's like it made me dislike the movie or maybe not be able to watch it, which is that's what I was really worried about.
Right.
Like, I know how, like, twitchy I can get with, you know, there's some stuff that I just cannot handle if it's a different frame rate.
Yeah.
It makes my body just go and, you know, this was not that bad. This was something where it's like the whole time it's in the back of my head, but I can ignore it.
Yeah, I could tell, like, you're a little more quiet than usual.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad I'm not worse than that. I'm glad I'm able to. So that's a control my autism. That's the worst thing I could have ever possibly said.
Oh, no.
But my autism's not that severe, so I can.
Yeah.
It's easy.
It is such a bold choice to make for such a big movie. Like, that and also we're gonna, like, basically paint over every frame.
Yeah, like, I appreciate that. I'm excited for this Miles video game because I do know that that's disableable.
Yeah.
So, like, glad about that. Because, like, it looks cool. That's also how I knew about it, because I saw it and I was like, oh, this looks really cool. Oh, no, my body! And it's so much worse in the video games. Like,
right.
I think just because it is, like, it's not the animation style. Like, the animation style helps me go like, oh, I can, you know, it blends in more.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, seeing Miles like that in the video game, like, you know, next to everything else that's smooth, my body shuts down.
Yeah. Like, they tried to do a really unique blend of, like, not just making it feel like a comic, not just making it feel like a claymation or, like, you know, something that isn't shiny CG.
Yeah.
They also wanted to make it feel like, you know, you can stop the movie at any point and take a screenshot, and it's going to feel like, you know, like it's all meant to be there. Even the smears are meant to look very smooth and look very, like, painterly.
I appreciate that a hell of a lot. Yeah, everything in this looks like if you took a screenshot, it'd be a promotional, like, screenshot.
Like, there's nothing wrong with doing smears or, like, you know, doing, like, individual frames that look kind of messy because the whole thing looks good.
Yeah.
But that's just not what they did. And this is a, like, I didn't know you could do this. I didn't realize this was possible within art.
Yeah. So, getting back to Fisk,
Yeah.
as I was saying,
Sure.
I like the video game one more. I realized, I guess I don't really like the video game more in any way other than just, like, I liked it more because it was at a smoother frame rate.
Sure.
Like, on a mechanical level, I enjoyed it more. But really, when
Yeah.
I compare them as characters, they're basically the exact same to me.
Okay.
The only difference with this one being a little bit more comedic.
Sure.
Which I think I might like more. I don't know.
Okay.
It's hard to pick between them.
Yeah,
because
I getcha.
they're so similar, actually. And I think because, like, I can so easily see the video game one doing this exact same plot,
Right.
like, with the same personality and the same, like, goofiness. That's why I'm like, I don't know, do I like it because he's goofy, or like, does the goofiness make me like him more when I can picture that same amount of goofiness in the other one?
Yeah.
They're both equal to me.
This is going to be a weird left turn, but it fits. Can you at all compare this Kingpin to the MCU Kingpin?
I mean, I think very easily, yeah.
Okay.
Like, the MCU Kingpin is way more of a serious Kingpin, way more of a realistic Kingpin. He looks like a human because he is a human being.
They didn't give him a prosthetic entire body.
He's got so much more Butterbean energy and, like, ball energy, rather
Sure.
than the square, perfectly, like, straight-shouldered Kingpin. I think that is, like, what most people would think of with Kingpin, right? Of, like,
Yeah.
really straight, boxy shoulders.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, the MCU definitely is going for more of a rounded, Butterbean is the closest thing I think. He feels a Butterbean in terms of appearance and kind of a little bit in personality.
Okay.
Like, I can picture it a little bit.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, he's way softer, way more boyish. Like, he
Yeah.
hasn't grown up. He's still trapped in that, his childhood. He hasn't grown past it. Whereas this feels like a man who has, like the Spider-Verse Kingpin feels like a man who has, it's way more about the family and the family as a wife and son.
Yeah.
Rather than, like, MCU is, I just want a woman to love me,
Right.
sort of thing. And, like, someone that I can be open with and honest with. So it's like, it is so very different because it's the exact opposite sort of thing. It is like, I need a family that can know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And can know me and love me because I hate me.
Right.
I hate me more than anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And this is way more of a, like, I love me, and I need to hide this from my family, because if my family sees it, they're not going to see it the way I see it. They're just going to, like, they don't understand why I'm punching Spider-Man.
Yeah. Like, it is the... Like,
they don't understand because I want money.
it's the reverse superhero situation of, like, he has the secret identity, he has, like, two different sides that he really loves, but it's not that he's going to put his family in danger.
Yeah.
It is legitimately that he is the danger.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And even that, you want to say like the comparison to Walter White, but even that is like a little bit more closer towards the MCU Kingpin.
Yeah.
Where he was getting so aggravated that he couldn't. That
Right. It's
that the family doesn't know where the money is coming from. Doesn't know why they have this power or this. Like, they just see him as like a rich CEO person, and like the MCU Kingpin would hate this kind of family.
right. It's
Like, yeah. So they're so different, and I don't know which one I like more. I think because also they've changed. Like, Kingpin has gone through a little bit of changes in character that I'm not sure if I am that into.
okay.
Like, towards the end of the season, where they make him just
Season
kind of
2?
no, the end of season 1, where they just kind of make him be like. Like, where he just kind of like snaps and just
It's like, I hate New York.
yeah, I hate New York. Fuck New York. I'm gonna kill everybody in New York. Like, yeah, it was kind of like disappointing.
Sure.
So this one didn't really have like a snap change in personality.
Yeah.
That's the sort of stuff I hate, when a character is very consistent and they have a quick snap and change of personality at the very end of the fight.
Right. It's
And like, yeah, the fact that Kingpin had that, and then we continue to get him more in season 2 and stuff like that, and he's kind of like the old Kingpin, like not real, like it's sort of a mix in between, and I'm just like, I like this, but I don't as much. So current Kingpin, in where I'm at in Daredevil and everything, I think I enjoy less than this Kingpin. But I think season 1 Kingpin up to the last episode, I might have enjoyed more than this.
Okay.
But I don't think they're ever going to be able to get back to that.
Yeah. I would be disappointed if they went back to that, just because, like, I want to see everything be impactful.
Yeah, it would feel like I wish they just didn't do it.
Yeah.
Like, didn't change him. But I wouldn't want them to go back either.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's where I stand with Fisk. I think every time he's on screen was an absolute treat to look at, to laugh at, and just to... like, he has such perfect Fisk energy in face as well.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I don't think anything else has captured the, like, energy that Fisk should have in the face that this has.
Yeah. Like, this is the Fisk I love. He is the one who will, like, if he physically fights Spider-Man, you simultaneously go, he's just like he's a crime lord. He sits behind a desk, and also, I think he's going to kill Spider-Man.
Yeah.
He is the guy where he will go to Spider-Man's, he'll go to a charity event, and he'll have everyone dress up like Spider-Man. He'll say, I knew Spider-Man really well. We were best friends. He would want me to do this. Oh, the absolute gall. And I appreciate that this is a rare Kingpin storyline in a, like, not comic, where it isn't about him, like, taking the whole city or, like, transforming the city or gaining more power. It is still city stakes. Like, it is still, he's going to warp reality to destroy the city.
Yeah, and he is changing the city, like,
Yeah.
just by nature of this happening, this stuff is wiki-whacking throughout the city.
Yeah, but it's not it's not really about him being the Kingpin as a Kingpin of crime. It is just, he is the big bad who can afford to, get all these villains to fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm glad that it was just, like, for his family the whole time.
Yeah.
It wasn't much of a twist, like, it was, like, probably that's what it's gonna be, but I'm glad that's what it was.
It's simple enough. Like, we don't really need a twist for that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't think they were setting up for a twist either. Like, I don't think they were trying to play it off as one, but...
It is just the, like, terrifying forward movement of someone who is, extremely passionate and who you cannot reason with. You can't tell him no. He knows that this is going to be horribly bad, and he's going to do it anyways.
Yeah, and it is like this, a literal hurdle, like a literal wall. Fisk is basically just a human wall in front of you that you have to surpass.
Because, we also get the, like... when everyone fights, or when everyone is fighting everyone else, it is a just a big melee. But when we boil it all the way down to Fisk and Miles, it is like the guy who's been in the game forever. He is the Kingpin of crime. Peter A. Parker could never get anything to make him go away permanently. And then we have the kid who just became Spider-Man, a few days ago in terms of powers, but in terms of like being Spider-Man and having the suit and like feeling good in it, it's been like a few minutes.
Yeah. And, like, that is, from what I know, like, the original story of Spider-Man, right? Of just, like, one of the first things he does is go up against Fisk, and at least in the Ultimate Universe. Not so much in the original, I assume, but...
No. In the original, like, Fisk was more of a Daredevil guy.
Yeah. But in the Ultimate Universe, and, like, since then, it seems like their big thing they always want to do with Spider-Man is, like, Spider-Man gets powers and goes up against... Or even just, like, again, Daredevil was the same sort of thing.
Yeah.
But going up against the crime lord and then creating a vacuum and all this sort of stuff, blah, blah. But yeah, having Fisk be the first like wall that you have to go up against of somebody who has been here the whole time, and it's a great like you remove the plug and now the series can start because all this stuff can flow through. Like it is. It works so well for the first villain. He is just a cap of the crime. Like, not even if he's really capping the crime, even if he's just all on his payroll. But then once he's gone, like, I totally get why it works so well as a wall and why they keep using it every time for the start of these things.
Similarly, how do you feel about this being a world that is, like, it is a Spider-Man focused world? Peter A. Parker is the only... like superhero in this series, like before Miles.
Yeah, I didn't really get that vibe.
Really?
No, like it felt to me like any MCU movie where it's like, well, if they're gonna bring up Iron Man, we're only gonna see Iron Man shit all over the fucking Spider-Man Homecoming walls, and it's like, yeah, we're just not really gonna see any other heroes because this movie's about Iron Man, so the world doesn't care about anybody but Spider-Man or Iron Man right now.
Sure.
So that's just kind of how I took it.
Okay. And yeah, like, if they wanted to, they could say, by the way, this is, like, a Marvel universe with, everything going on.
Yeah. Yeah, it very well could be. It doesn't
Yeah.
seem like it is, but you know,
Yeah.
At the same time, I could say that on so many MCU movies.
Fair. But yeah, I thought, especially for something that is the Spider-Verse, like something that is solely, entirely focused on not a Spider-Man, but just on the concept of Spider-Man. I'm really glad they didn't go too far and also try to do a what is Spider-Man like next to other heroes, or what are the contrasts there. It is wholly just like Spider-Man is the legacy. When he dies, it is like, you know, the biggest hero has died.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of is, you know, even in universe.
Yeah, like I would say he is, like, in New York specifically, in 616, he is like the hero. People look at him and they go like, I can't believe he's been a hero for this long.
Yeah.
Like, I remember when I was a kid and Spider-Man was out there, and I, you know, because he was there, I wasn't scared of mutants, or I wasn't scared of, you know, all these other people. Because he was the gateway of like, oh no, like, people who can, you know, punch out buildings aren't necessarily bad. They could just be extremely, you know, altruistic.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Aunt May in this movie.
Yeah.
How did you feel about Aunt May? I want to ask you first, actually.
Okay. I really liked this, like, this really gave off the sense of this is, you know, endgame Peter A. Parker. Like, he spent so long being Spider-Man that we don't even have to do the did she know, did she not? Like, she knew. She's known for a long time.
Yeah.
Like, they're in it on it together. He has, like, the spider cave, and she knows about it as well. I really like that as a way to still have the impact of that character be in this world. Like, it isn't just the Spider-Man of this world is gone and now we have to replace him. It is a, like, we can still feel his legacy through all of his stuff and through this location and through, like, you know, even the attack on May's house is like, you know, she's in this one last time, her house is being destroyed one last time, and she's still cool with it. Like, you know, she's cool with the spiders fighting back.
Yeah, she hates it. Like she's you know getting annoyed at like all the stuff broken, but that just makes her start fighting. Not like she was like, God damn it, you guys get out of my house.
Yeah, and we do get the quick mention of her calling Olivia Octavius Liv. When we get the, you know, the setup of only my friends call me Liv.
Yeah,
it's like that's even at some point they were friends. Like, so many stories had to have happened between.
Yeah, that happened. I again, that was something that I kind of assumed we were gonna get more of, but it wasn't something that like stuck with me throughout the movie.
Yeah,
it was kind of just like oh okay, but then I kind of. But yeah, that is very telling of like how much had to have happened at that point.
Yeah, like, it's always a balancing act between, like, if they did more of those kinds of things, I think the movie would feel too heavily, like, why didn't we see any of this? Like, all this stuff sounds way cooler than what we're seeing now. Whereas this is a perfect, like, a lot of cool stuff has happened, but it's not important right now. You just need to know it did happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. But yeah, I absolutely loved Aunt May, this movie, like her personality and everything. I wanted you to go first because I am so ineloquent that I knew you were going to say it better. So, samesies.
I do that constantly anyways.
Yeah. But, yeah, I don't know what else I have to say about it. Like, her just knowing that Miles was going to come back and waiting for him and everything. Yeah. The whole like giant production thing that Spider-Man had, a little bit weird, a little bit iffy, but other than that, I loved everything about Aunt May in the house and
yeah, lots of tiny trivia things I'm not going to go into, like the spider car and the Spider-Man costume with the cape. Like
I'm sure there's so much. Again, I'm gonna watch so much of that shit on YouTube already that so okay, let's talk about Liv then.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, like she is emblematic of what I love about the movie, which is they can do one thing that's really cool and then set you up for a 3-beat without really thinking about it. Like she is the build up to all the villains we've seen of like, hey, here's a villain, but they're not the way they were in like any of the movies or anything. Or here's this guy. Do you know who he is? Do you know what his deal is? And then we get Liv, who is the like, oh, she was there at the start of the movie. She could have just been a character, and then we get the swivel into no, she is Doc Ock.
Yeah. Look, her being so interested in Peter B. It's like, okay, like are we going funny with this? Like, is she like really horny? But no, this is way more actual scientific.
Yeah.
Like, and then there's like a. Why? I'm kind of like, does Peter not worried about her, the fact that she works for Fisk and everything? And then she puts him in the chair, and even then it's like well, yeah, duh. And so the twist, like, works doubly well as, like, you're not thinking like, oh, so she is evil. It's like, well, yeah, we knew she was evil.
Yeah.
So like it lulls you into like the not thinking about who could this be then.
Because like there's also a very practical reason for him to want his DNA checked. Like that's also when we learn that his body's being annihilated.
Yeah. Like he's kind of like, and with him being Spider-Man, that was the only time where I felt like I was starting to buy, like, okay, this does feel like, he is so confident that he's going to get out of the situation. Like, no matter what's going to happen to him, I'm Spider-Man, I'm going to get out of the situation. Whereas, like, I didn't get that vibe. Again, with Peter B, I got that vibe when he was, like, walking on the building and everything, talking and everything like that. That felt, like, super cool. Super, like, competent and everything. Competent in the way that he's, like, I'm so confident I don't care.
Right.
It's like, I know it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
But that and the scene there, and the like just willingly letting her touch him and throw him in the chair and all this stuff, and because he's so confident he's gonna get, and he got out totally fine.
Yeah, like I would say that is one of the most emblematic things I can think of when I think of a superhero who has been around the block a few times.
Yeah,
like specifically the like in Avengers, Black Widow does that, where like repeatedly she gets interrogated, and then as she's being interrogated, she's actually interrogating the other person without them knowing.
Yeah, that's a great example.
Yeah, like it's a classic, like even Superman-y thing of, oh no, the Nazis have captured him, but oh no, he wanted to be captured all along. He was never in any danger because he's Superman. Those guns weren't gonna hurt him. He just made them feel like they were in control.
Yeah.
Or I also appreciate how the movie can flip-flop between, like, we're going to, like, have this be comedic in this way, and then we're going to, like, have the punchline be slightly different.
Do you have an example?
Like, I think the build-up of Peter, like, just saying, like, oh, by the way, we're gonna get a donut, or I'm gonna grab a bagel, And
okay, yeah,
and it is this very, like, extremely casual thing. And then the scientists do freak out when he takes the bagel.
Yeah. Also, I would say, that the whole, like, from, going into the place to leaving the place. Like, once he started leaving the place, I was, feeling less of the confidence, even though he's swinging very much.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It's just, like, the vibes weren't there as much. But, yeah, during the whole infiltration, I would say, he felt super duper lackadaisically confident.
Yeah, agreed.
But okay, going back to Octavia. Love the twist. It worked so well. I mean, and I think like I'm so much happier we got something like this rather than just getting like normal Doc Ock. Because, or even if she was just like a henchman or whatever. Like, this just added so much more, and the fact that she was like, again, she was extremely confident and like on par with Fisk, just being like, constantly having to calm him down and like, no, this means that it worked. Like this is the good bit. This is good. I really loved her position in the movie and just how big she felt.
Yeah. I always love having two slightly different flavors of evil working together. Because, like, with her, like, she also wants this to work. And she also does not care if the entire city gets destroyed.
Yeah.
But she also doesn't have a personal stake in it. Like, she doesn't care about his family. She has the line that I love so much of, I'll give you as many families as you want.
Yeah.
Like, to her, she does not care in the slightest. She just wants to make the machine work.
I do appreciate that. Like, you're thinking, like, what is Fisk's, like, goal here? Like, it's probably to bring his family back or something like that. Yeah. Like, but you have that question. Whereas, like, once you find out that she is, Octavius and she is involved with this, you immediately know, like, well, she's just, not even knowing anything about Octavius, you immediately get the vibe from her introduction in the video, like, well, she just cares about science. Like, this is the only thing that matters to her.
Yeah.
And, like, everybody else is just on payroll. Whereas, like, you get immediately that she's not on payroll. She is interested herself in this. Like, and she has her own agenda. And I'm glad that like got across immediately. Yeah. The tentacles, so much cooler than I've ever seen Octavius's tentacles ever be. Them. So lewd. I thought that she was pumping cum into Peter's mouth.
Oh no.
And so it looked like every time I was just like, what is this pumping? But
my reaction is so not strong, by the way, because we already talked about this, in which he was just like, I need you to explain why she was pumping the cum into Peter.
yeah, I had to be like, I don't want to do this on a discussion,
Yeah.
but I need you. I didn't say specifically that. I
Yeah.
said, I need you to explain to me what she was pumping into him. And it was like, no, it was like the water is moving and making the tentacle bigger.
Mhm.
But yeah, I did not catch that's what was going, that it was getting bigger. I thought she was
Yeah.
just because it's around him like this.
Right. It's,
And I'm like, what is she pumping into him? I jokingly say cum, but I mean, like, that's not really what
sure. I get you.
That's what I was hoping for. What was this movie rated?
Kids were supposed to see this.
I don't think so.
Kids had to see it. It was legally mandated. Kids had to see it.
That Peter B eating scene. There's no way they didn't know how lewd that was. Who eats with always two fingers? Always two fingers.
Yeah.
This movie was so horny to me.
The marriage fell apart because he didn't want kids, not because he wasn't good at eating out.
Well, this movie's so horny. So,
Yeah.
let's talk about the plot now.
Let's talk about the plot.
Let's talk about the plot.
Mhm.
Okay, so
Uh-huh.
let's start off with the event. Okay, first of all, let's get this out of the way. Like, we were talking about like why thematically a lot of this stuff works
Sure.
and why this movie works perfectly fine thematically and metaphorically.
Sure.
And I don't know if metaphorically is a bad word, but like it works in like I know what they're trying to do, and I'm glad they did it that way.
Yeah.
But like an example, I know why they brought in just these five and why they're
Right.
like those five. Why they're we went over like how great each one of them
Yeah.
was specifically in this group. But in an in-universe, let's all talk about this in-universe plot-wise.
Sure.
Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Why do these spider people come through? Like, why them? Why only them? Both in
Right.
terms of spider people and both in terms of just these five. Like,
Yeah.
well, I guess just these five because it's the five universes. Never mind. That's
Yeah.
answered. Why?
Spider people?
Why just the spider people?
Because Peter A was in the blast when the reactor turned on.
Okay.
Like, his head went into this, the multiple universes, and then, like, it was summoning him.
Right. Yeah.
Or, not him, but yeah, it was like, he latched onto the spider part of him, I guess.
Yeah. Well, like, that's what I'm trying to think about, like,
Yeah.
right now. Like, what does that mean? Because it's not his DNA.
No.
Because, like, they use the DNA of Fisk's family to get
Yeah.
his family back. But, like,
Yeah.
it's not like Peter Parker's come through. Spider people come through.
Yeah. We do see, when we look at the universes, that all the universes are held together with spider
What
thread.
the hell? Yeah.
Like, I don't know what they're going to do in the future movies, so I don't want to, like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where I just think about it like, it makes sense in a, like, you just go with it, sort of like, I know
Yeah.
what they're doing, but, like, when I think about it, when I break it down, like, yeah.
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 Mhm.
Is it like did the spider put its DNA in him? But they weren't all bitten by the same spider.
You remember the same spider?
And what is Porker? What is it? A spider pig? No, a spider ham.
yeah.
What is his thing again?
He was a spider who was bit by a radioactive pig.
Right.
And he had pig DNA put into him.
Right. So I don't think there is an answer to this. I just wanted to bring it up, like.
There.
Secondarily, well, what were we gonna say first?
I have an answer, but it doesn't matter.
I mean, if you want to, do you have an answer? I would be curious. Again, they're probably gonna answer it later in
Yeah.
some weird way, but
Like, the way I took it is that, like, because of that webbing, like, these are all, like, how do I put this? It's like stands, where stands attract other stands. Like, all spider people are kind of connected.
Oh, stand D.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying stands.
Like K-pop stands.
Yeah, like K. But you're not wrong. They do attract
Yeah.
other stands.
Yeah, I guess I took it as a, like, spider people already have a connection.
Yeah, I mean they have the spider thing again. Like,
Yeah.
I think it makes sense when you just think about it as
Yeah.
like he went in and the Spider Man DNA
Yeah.
brought all the other spider people. But like when you try and think about it more than that, it doesn't work. But yeah, just thinking about it as of that is like
Yeah.
yeah, it's fine.
Every Spider-Man has Spider-Man energy, and all the Spider-Mans came because they had the Spider-Man energy.
Okay, now the one that I do have a problem
uh-huh.
with, Gwen. Why? Like, what is the reason why she goes back in time?
I think
First of all,
Yeah, I think it's the weird, like, it's weird because we don't really focus on the other three going back to, like, different periods. Like, presumably, they all hit the same billboard, so they did come in at different times.
yeah,
But we don't, like, she's the only one who goes backwards in time,
yeah, you're right.
as opposed to it being, like, presumably all the others could have been, like, a spread afterwards.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like. And like, I don't see why they couldn't have just had it be, we did a test run.
Yeah.
She came through. You would still have to do the DNA sort of thing. But I mean,
Yeah.
you could have some part of Spider-Man's DNA accidentally got a part of it. Her going back in time is already so goddamn contrived anyway.
Right.
That but yeah, that's something I was just like, I don't
Sure.
that was so like they just needed her to be there for the plot for this,
Yeah.
to work. Everything about Gwen feels so unbelievably contrived this movie to me though.
Mm.
Like, okay, so
Okay.
there's that. She goes back through time.
Yeah.
Then she goes to the school because her spider sense told her to go to the school,
Yeah.
right? And then, I'm not going to extrapolate
Uh-huh.
that she goes to, like, spider sense tells her to go to the school. She's like, okay, why did my spider sense tell me to go to the school? One, how the hell did she even get into the fucking school? How did she get into the school? She's going to the class and she's enrolled there.
Yeah, and we do know from the text that this is a, like, lottery school. Like, it's one where a bunch of people say, we want our kid to go to the school, and then they pick out those kids, and then they, like, do an exam.
Not everybody, but because he won it from the lottery, not because he was that smart, right?
No, it's both.
Okay.
Like, what his teacher said was, like, he said, I was just picked, out of the lottery, and his teacher said, but you still had to write the exam like anyone else.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Like, that is how a lot of charter schools work, where so many people apply that they do a lottery just to randomly choose who gets to even, go on to the next phase.
Okay. So, yeah, that does raise even more questions, because I assumed that she, there was a possibility that she bribed her way in because it's a rich school or something like that, but,
Right.
like, no, if you have to do the lottery and the written exam and everything,
Mm-hmm.
that's so she had to do all, Spider Sense told her to do all this to go to the school, which then she was there for, I guess that was her first day as well.
Yeah.
Because he also, like, you're new here. But then she sees the, what's the name of the company?
Alchemax.
Alchemax. She sees that, like, thing during class. They're talking about multiple dimensions. She's like, okay, that's why my spider sense, told me to go here. Now I'm going to go there. I'm going to go under disguise, I guess.
Right.
And, just see what the hell they're doing here and everything like that. That stuff makes sense. From
Sure.
getting in the classroom, going there, no problem with that. It's the everything that is leading up to that. And before the no. Is it before or after? It's after the class videotape thing.
Yeah.
But that she sees that, Miles has very similar powers to her, if not the exact same powers to her.
Yeah.
And, she gives him the same advice of, like, relax and
Yeah. Like,
whatever.
when his hand is stuck to her
Yeah,
hair.
when his hand is stuck to her hair. She gives him the same advice. Could just be, it's a common advice you would give to anybody with powers,
Yeah.
or whatever. Even if she didn't think he had powers, it's an advice to give. But it's curious that her spider sense going off, telling her to go to the school. She did not think that, like, maybe... there's she knew there was another Spider-Man in this universe already.
Right.
And a dead one, but, like, she knew that, so, well, no, that wouldn't have happened at that point yet, right? That would have happened
Yeah.
the day after.
Yeah.
So, well, no. But so then she would have just known there was an alive Spider-Man already in her universe.
Yeah.
There's no reason to not really believe there's not another one. Like, she already knows that she's not the only one.
Right. It's
So, yeah. That whatever. All
Yeah.
that is, I'm willing to let it go.
Sure.
How the hell she got into the school and the reason for getting into the school
Sure.
is it's so pointlessly contrived because she doesn't need to be in the school at all.
Mm-hmm.
She really doesn't need to be. They could have just had her meet Miles outside of the school.
sure.
You know? It's like they kind of just wanted to do a school setting, but like,
Yeah.
why?
They
You
want
don't need it.
kids are cute in uniforms,
He can be in a uniform.
but she couldn't.
She could pretend to be from his school. I don't know why she would do that. Like, instead of Spider-Sense telling her to go to the
Sure.
school, Spider-Sense telling her to go to him. Like,
Mhm.
how did they not, like...
Yeah, they didn't do the thing that Peter B and Miles did.
Yeah.
Or no, sorry, Peter A and Miles, where like they look at each other and then their senses go off together.
Yeah. Did Peter B not do that as well?
Peter B did it later.
With, Miles?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like around like during the fight, I believe, or like right after the fights.
Okay.
Like yeah, when Miles knocks him unconscious, like
Yeah.
it didn't go off at that point. It went off a bit afterwards.
Yeah. That's kind of weird how that works, but whatever.
Sure.
The whole school thing's so weird.
Mhm.
So contrived. So I like that. That's why I felt I was so confused at what was going on with Gwen in this movie. I was like, is she okay? So there's two here.
Right. It's
Like, yeah. But yeah, that's all I have to say about like that. I mean, I don't think you have anything to say about it.
no.
Yeah, that's really it. Like the only problem I had with the plot was that really.
Okay.
That's really the only thing I wanted to bring up. It was just it's so bad. It's so contingent on the entire movie.
Yeah.
And it's like it's so bad. I can't say anything other. It's just a bad plot to have her
Alright.
go to the school where that's a lottery and you have to run. It's just it's too much of a stretch. It's way too much of a stretch.
Yeah, I do agree. She could have just like it's specifically the fact that she's in class and she's
Yeah,
introduced.
like she could have snuck in, but like
Yeah.
there's too much. Like she is enrolled there.
Yeah.
That's the weird part.
Mhm.
Like yeah. There's so much other weird stuff around it that I'm willing to forgive. I just all the stuff with like Miles having similar powers and all this other stuff. But I'm willing to forgive all that. I cannot forgive the school. Her being enrolled in the school is bonkers.
Sure. I'll give you that.
But yeah, anything else you want to say about the movie?
Troy Barnes makes an appearance in the movie, and I
Oh
don't.
shit!
I don't mean
What?
his actor.
I was gonna say, you mean Troy Barnes?
At Uncle Aaron's place. Uncle Aaron is watching Community, and he sees Troy Barnes wearing a Spider-Man onesie, or not a onesie, his pajamas.
Yeah, I just thought that was a Spider-Man cartoon. Oh man, that is fantastic. Oh yeah, yeah. From when he was in Pierce's place, I believe that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. I love that.
So, keep in mind, Miles Morales was made for, like, not for Donald Glover, but it was made, like, as a response to the big outcry of, he wants to be Spider-Man, why don't you let him be Spider-Man? Why don't you let him be Peter Parker?
Yeah.
He has now been Uncle Aaron in the MCU, and he has been on TV as Troy Barnes in Into the Spider-Verse. But he can't...
I don't.
Yeah,
does he? Do you know? Does he still want to play Spider-Man?
From what I understand, like, he thinks it's cool, but he hasn't, like, made a push for it.
Right. Because
Yeah.
like he's also he's very very into the music stuff. Like
Yeah.
very has no time for acting anymore.
Yeah.
So like I can see an MCU thing would be a huge, or sorry, not an MCU thing, but just a Marvel thing in general.
Yeah.
No matter what, whether it's animated or whatever, is a
yeah.
huge commitment.
Mhm.
And so much press you would have to do for that.
Yeah.
Like I can see where he's like, yeah, I'd love to do it, but realistically, no, it's too much.
Yeah, like if you're going to be a big character, especially for the MCU, but also in other Marvel stuff, just because they're trying to streamline everything,
Yeah.
there's a lot of like, you got to do all this other stuff, or we're going to make a contract, and we don't know what you're going to do. And you don't know what you're going to do, but you're going to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, him being Uncle Aaron is just if he comes back, he comes back. If he doesn't, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I think that is like the stance to have. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
it'd be cool. It's cool to be little Uncle Aaron
Yeah.
is for a small role, or it's cool to
it would be cool to be Spider-Man, but
Yeah.
I'm not serious about like let me be Spider-Man because it's a hell of a lot of not just the work, but just a hell of a lot of boring shit you got to do too.
Yeah. Like that was also when he was way younger.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
I mean now
yeah.
it would also have to be an older Spider-Man. Like, yeah, he could play an alternate universe Miles Morales, but like,
Yeah.
I think it would be cooler to have him just play Spider-Man. You know?
Yeah. He's hitting the point now.
I mean, I say that like Miles Morales isn't Spider-Man, but
Yeah.
like, I know what he means. Like, you know, he wanted to play Peter Parker.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I think it'd be cool to have him play an alternate universe Peter Parker.
Yeah, there's no reason why they can't.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it really is just a like in Kamen Rider, you got a lot of guys who are like, big heroes or big villains when they're younger, and then they get, they have a more serious career, and then when they're like 60, they're like, you know what, I like Kamen Rider, I'm gonna be a villain. I'm just gonna tell them that I'm available. I feel like that's what we're gonna get with, I think that's what we're gonna get with him.
Yeah.
Like, I think he's gonna show up in other Spider-Man stuff as he has more free time.
I think that'd be cool. Yeah, if he's just
Yeah.
like on every Spider-Man thing from now on.
Speaking of characters who are in lots of things,
Yeah.
how did you feel about that Stan Lee cameo?
Oh God, hit me like a truck.
This was one of the only Stan Lee cameos where I saw you like have a visible reaction to it, as opposed to just a like he's there.
Yeah, I mean, like, it made me start crying. Like, it's the
Yeah.
double thing of like going from that into Spider-Man dying
Yeah.
is like it hits you with both emotions at the same time.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just like I don't know how long in the movie that was, but it was relatively short in the movie, and I was
Yeah.
already starting to cry from it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Mhm.
it was powerful. Like again, the Stan Lee stuff on top of the thinking about Spider-Man dying. Like it's
Right.
both of those were two really powerful emotions to be thinking of at the same time,
Yeah.
and like putting yourself in the shoes of all those people and everything.
Mm-hmm. Like they nailed the Ultimate Universe did this, when he died and they were setting up for Miles.
Yeah.
Like the outpouring of people just affected by Spider-Man dying, and that's something that's always hit me a lot.
I will
Because-
say, I know they did that in the video game as well, Spider-Man video game. I have not gotten to that point.
Okay.
Like the moment Miles was introduced, like was like came on screen, I was like, okay, I'm done.
Alright.
Like I'm saving all this so I can experience Miles for the first time in a reaction.
Yeah.
And like I knew I wasn't gonna play the whole goddamn Spider-Man game anyway. I
Fair,
never
fair.
finish a video game ever. I don't really know much of what was going on in the story because I was mainly just playing it for the gameplay wise.
Sure.
I knew I was doing MCU stuff, so I was trying to not.
Yeah.
I was actively like being like, I just kind of play this for the
Yeah.
gameplay right now.
I think that's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, I can always come back to it later.
Mhm.
And then the Miles game is out now anyway, so I'll just jump
Yeah.
on that one.
I mean, if you get the Miles game, you also get the original game for free.
Oh, awesome.
It's just DLC.
Yeah. I'm the kind of person where I do like I will play, the game for as long as I feel like to get like the gameplay out of it as much as I enjoy, and then I'll just watch the story from somebody else. It's like
Fair.
I don't want to see the gameplay anymore. I'm done with the gameplay. Thanks. I'll watch the story now.
Oh, you're so chaotic.
That's how I do.
You are I'm going to deconstruct this Big Mac and then eat each piece separately.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to have my gameplay and I'm going to have the content separately.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I enjoy the beginning bit of the story, and then I'm like, okay, this is good. Now I'm just gonna enjoy some gameplay and probably gonna be skipping a lot of the story stuff, and then I'll come back to the story later and watch it all as one long movie on YouTube.
Oh, boy.
Like a true gamer.
Oh man, gamers.
But yeah, so that was sad as fuck.
Yeah. Because I also, yeah, like they did that way in advance because like it's an animated movie. They did every frame.
Yeah.
Like they started it. They were planning to do it in 2015. We know that because of the North Korea hack when they brought down the Sony servers and leaked all their information. One of the things they wanted to do was just let's do a non-live action Spider-Man thing because people love Spider-Man and we're doing this whole MCU thing. We don't know how this is going to work. So like I'm happy the movie came together
Yeah.
as opposed to just falling apart like so many other movies.
Mm-hmm.
And B, like, I'm just so shocked at how everything came together so well. Like, that is such a perfect tribute to Stan. And that was not meant to
Absolutely.
be a tribute to Stan.
Yeah, that's also I think why it made me cry so much is because
Yeah.
like I think I could tell that this was not meant to be
Mhm.
as like poetic as it was.
Yeah.
Like And that's what made it hit so much harder. It was like
Yeah.
coincidentally so impactful.
It is the like I don't like it's more impactful seeing what someone was like, you know, on an average day and them being very good as opposed to like the sweetest day of their life and then they've been taken away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, I think we are done talking about the movie now.
Oh, they also of course did a like tribute to Stan Lee and Steve Ditko, who was the
Yeah.
original like artist for Spider-Man.
Right,
Which-
yeah.
yeah.
I actually do want to talk about the message at the end, but
Sure.
Continue.
I appreciated that because no one talks about Steve Ditko. Like, Stan Lee is a cool dude, but he's also kind of, like, encompassed a lot of the dialogue around early Marvel.
Yeah.
Like, he is the larger-than-life person. He is the one who, like, did the editor comments every single time for all these comics. Like, he was big, and he does deserve, like, to be the figurehead. But at the same time, he does kind of drown out a lot of other people. So I'm
Yeah.
always excited when they do, like, shout out someone else specifically.
And I have to mention, every time we talk about Stan Lee in an extended period,
Mm-hmm.
I have to. Stan Lee is such a great dude, stands up for so much, like, equality in the world and everything like that. Does some incredible storylines. His writing, like, dialogue can be goofy sometimes.
Yeah.
But, like, incredible, absolute dude. Love him to death. I can never not let people know about, you know, when everyone went off to war and then they made Stan Lee the editor-in-chief and he said, all right, you know what? Fuck all this superhero shit. Everybody hates this stuff. We're doing funny comics and crime stories. That's it. Just for years while everybody's at war, and Stan's just like, this is what the people want. They love it. I wish I could remember who came back afterwards and then was like, all right, we're doing superhero stuff again and we're revamping it. And like, that was like the real start
Yeah.
of Marvel. Like, the golden age is like, there's a period of the golden age where there's superheroes, a couple superheroes,
Yeah.
and then they all stop once Stan takes over, and they all come back once he like steps down for editor-in-chief.
Yeah.
I always love bringing that up because it's, again, as you said, like, thinking of Stan as like this angelic character is like, you know, I love knowing those like those parts about him,
Yeah.
like how infallible he or like how fallible he is, and like just him in his youth, just thinking like people hate this superhero shit. Everybody is going to be sick of this. The age is over. That's it.
Yeah, that's
I'll see you guys for Iron Fist next week. And yeah, I that's it. I've said some other things, like I might do some other things, blah, 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 but I don't know what I'm doing, you know?
no promises.
Again, no promises. No promises. Iron Fist is coming next week. We're doing all that. But as far as other movies and stuff like that, there might be stuff coming sporadically. No promises.
Oh yeah.
No promises.